Hey everyone, 60 Gray here, and I just want to kind of walk through, kind of talk about the 14, 15, 16 Pro Max, kind of do a comparison, let everybody know my feedback and my thoughts on this. But before we get started, if you could, please click subscribe. I greatly appreciate that. It does mean a lot, and right now I have some giveaways. I'm going to do more giveaways in the near future. I'm going to have an 8A phone by Google I'm gonna do, and I am by all means, and I'm just like a Google phone on an iPhone review. I love both technologies. The problem I have with Apple, and we're gonna go into it. But yeah, so just want to make everybody aware. I don't like Apple has a following. It's like they're herding sheep. People just keep buying their products, but they quit innovating on a lot of things. Their vision's kind of cool, but we're going to talk about the phones. Should you buy one? We'll leave that to the end of my suggestion. But if you look at it right here, we're going to compare, and this is from apples.com website, so you can go out there and do your own review and own look at it. Is the 16 Pro Max worth upgrading if you had the 15 Pro or the 14 Pro? And we're going to talk about that. So they did increase the screen size. So the 15 and 14 has 6.7, and the newer phone has a 6.9, which they basically just shorten out the edges, made the screen a little bit wider. That's how they're getting it along those lines. But if you look at the technology, they all have Super Retina XDR display. Their technology really hasn't changed too much. And we're going to go down, do that. I mean, who cares about the chip? Like A16, A17, A18. I mean, is your phone really running that slow? Like I've never, and I'm not a gamer, so maybe if you're a gamer, this really does matter to you. But for an everyday use, I'm a very heavy user. I do not see, when I moved from A16 to A17, I did not see a mass improvement. Like, oh my gosh, this is so much faster. No, it's not. And when, just because they make a faster chip doesn't mean you're necessarily going to see it. And they talk about better battery life, more efficient, but we'll get down into that in just a minute. But what I really want to talk about is their camera. Now, in today's technology, one of the most driven things on a phone is people want to be able to take great pictures, great selfies along those lines. If you look, I mean, they've always had a 48 megapixel main. Now they have a Fusion. Ooh, I don't know. I mean, I don't really think it's going to matter that much more. They did increase the ultra wide to 48 megapixel, while the 14 Pro Max and the 15 Pro Max stay the same, and they have telephoto. If you look at the super high resolution, it's still 24 and 48. That has not changed at all since the 15 Pro Max. If you look at, these features, they're almost identical. The big difference is the 48 megapixel macro photo. So are you taking macros a lot? Odds are probably not, but there are some people that will really benefit from that. You got the Dolby Vision up to 4K at 120 frames per second. Maybe that's interesting. And then the spatial photos and videos. That's not something for me. So when I start looking at this, I look at the resolution, I look at the quality of the hardware, and then the other thing, I look at this optical option zoom. And that's a big one because, I would expect that to be better. But the max the optical zoom goes out is 5x. And if you've ever went to a concert and you sat in the second section back and you try to zoom in on a picture with an iPhone, it takes a horrible picture. It is pixelated. I have taken an iPhone 15 Pro. I have taken a Pixel 8 Pro. I have taken my 9 Pro, and I have shot. And I'm telling you right now, like if you go compare the two, I've taken other people with other iPhones, and they just suck. It is straight. So if you're taking any kind of pictures and you're zooming out towards the max, so we're talking about closer to 5x zoom, so you're zooming in at a concert or something along those lines, it's a pixelated picture. Like, does it look okay when you look at your screen? It does. But just pinch and zoom in just a little bit, and you'll see how it starts pixelating out really bad, and you're going to understand, if you know what pixelating means, you're going to see that exactly what that means. Why, the other cameras, like you look at the Pixel 9 Pro, what do? They came out with a better camera. So they came out with a 50 megapixel octa wide. So they got a 50, a 48, and their telephoto is 48. They do a 5x optical zoom, just like iPhone, but they also do a super res zoom up to 30x. Samsung does it also, but why is it that after 3 generations, you barely moved up? And let's be honest, the 14 Pro Max at 3x was so far outdated for other cameras of its same class. So the question is, why are you updating your camera? Why are you updating your phone if the camera is important? Because let's be honest, if you have the 15 Pro Max and you have the 16 Pro Max, they're so similar. Is it really worth you spending the extra $500 if you sell your phone and move on? I don't know. You make that decision. Me, I don't think so. Then let's go into the battery life. So, actually not. So like if you look at like the video playback, you get, now they say four more hours. I'm sorry. I have tested phones out and I understand like the 14 Pro, the 15 Pro, 29. I will bet money that you do not get 33 hours of video playback on the 16 Pro Max. And they get these numbers, it's like miles per gallon when you buy a car. They run them so lean at the most. They set the test up for the best result, even though it may not be real world. So yeah, so you know the capacities are all the same. And then let's go into the display, because that's another huge one. So they all have Super Retina XDR display. The display has not really upgraded, besides the screen got a little bigger. When the screen gets bigger, what does that mean? You get pixel resolutions that are going to be bigger. So you can have a 2868 by 1320 at 460 ppi. And when you look at that, it's really not an upgrade from the 15 Pro or 14 Pro Max. So here we are, 3 years later, and they still have not done anything to increase the screen. And you could say, hey, you're being unfair. Samsung, Google, OnePlus, they've all upgraded their screen. Then let's go into something that really matters. Your nits. Some people don't know what nits are, but basically it's just like the brightness. So think of it, the higher the nits, the brighter the phone is. So if you're outside, the sun's beating down, and you're trying to look at your phone and you're wondering why it's so dim, because you need more nits. Today's average of a phone that's a enterprise class or a top phone should be minimum 2,500 nits, and that's a big difference if you go from 2,000 to 2,500. If you ever have your iPhone and you're outside in the sun, this means now you're wondering like, hey, why is this a little bit hard to see? It's because of those nits are low. Out of their generation, 3 generations of phone, they are identical. 1,000 nits, 1,600, and 2,000. If you compare that to the Pixel 9 Pro, they actually go up to 3,000 nits. So that is a huge difference. So 2,000 max, that's the peak brightness outdoor on your new iPhone if you get it in, to 3,000 on the Pixel 9 Pro. Doesn't even compare. The Pixel Pro is going to be a lot brighter. You know, and like I said, you look at every other setting on this, they're identical. Like there's not much change besides this 1 nit minimum brightness. Great. Why do I want 1 nit minimum brightness? Because if you're in a dark room, you probably shouldn't have your phone on if you're trying to do it. So if you're in a movie theater, I probably shouldn't be doing it. But anyways, if you care about display, don't buy the 16 because your 15 Pro, heck, even your 14 Pro is going to be on par. So you're not really going to see any improvement over the display. Size, weight, okay, who cares? But you know, at the end of the day, it's a little taller. It's barely 0.04 inches wider. The depth's the same, and it actually weighs a little bit more on the new phone. Now, some people complain about the 14 Pro. Oh my gosh, this phone's heavy at 8.47 ounces. I don't know. If you can't pick up a phone at 8.47 ounces, and that's too heavy for you, I got resolution. Go pick up some weights, because 8 ounces is not heavy. I don't care who you are. You probably need to work out a little bit. If that phone is too heavy for you to carry, you probably need to work out. So what did Apple do? They did shave it off and went to 7.81 and 15 Pro, and now here we are. We're creeping back up to 7.99 ounces, which kind of interesting. Like, so you're going up. You're going up in specs on the ounces. You know, the water dust ratings identically the same. You know, Apple Intelligence. What is that going to do? Hey, here's what we do know about Apple Intelligence. They come out, they always talk about how We have the world best everything. Whoa, look at us, we're Apple. And let's be honest, they don't. They are so late with AI. It's ridiculous. In fact, they couldn't even launch it on time with the 16 Pro because they're still trying to figure it out. And they keep saying this year. This year could be next year. Or you get a crappy version this year that they're going to do updates just to meet some kind of demand, make people feel better, because who has AI? Samsung has AI. Google has, let's be honest, the best AI out there. I'm not a big fan of Gemini. I covered this in another review, but they're going to be late. Somebody they telling is, oh, we could correct emails. Great, you can do that now. There's ChatGPT. You just open up a web page. You can correct your emails now and then just cut and paste it into your thing. So they can't even launch that on time. And this goes into a little bit more on the camera that I was talking about. The only difference is the ultra wide that changes. They changed that to 48 megapixel. You look at the Fusion versus main. Great, they changed the name. It probably still means main, but they want to sound cool and say, hey, this is Fusion. And if somebody wants to correct me out there, you're more than welcome to put some reviews out there and click on that, like, hate, whatever. I'm all right with that. But at the end of the day, I would just stay with the iPhone 15 Pro Max if the camera matters to you, because there's not enough difference in here. And here's the thing, like I said, you take macros, you got 40 megapixels, great. All right, great. So I can take these smaller pictures, closer up, awesome. But there's not much difference anything. Like if you look at the 15 Pro Max, almost every line is identical. Every line, except the ultra wide and the anti-reflective lens coating. Great. That's it. Which, who knows, some people, if you look at some of the new displays for the iPad Pro, you actually can get, some people like it, some don't. I don't know about this anti-reflective lens coating until I get to see the phone in person and really comment on that, but it would not be something why I'm going to go spend a bunch of money on a 16 Pro Max. Video recording, you start diving into it, a lot of similarities here also. The front camera, this is funny, like a lot of people out there love taking selfies. It's the culture that we are at. Like, hey, look at me, bam, here I am. I'm at this nice resort, I'm on vacation, whatever, let's take some selfies. Their selfie front camera is still 12 megapixels. You know how outdated that is? Like, that is minimum, like 12 megapixels. And other cameras out there, they are actually go a lot higher. Like the new Pixel 9 Pro, it has a 42 megapixel dual PD selfie camera with autofocus. This has 12 megapixel. If you're comparing selfie to selfie from this iPhone to the Pixel 9 Pro XL, it's not going to come close. There's no way. This has such low, this is like a quarter of the pixels. And it's ridiculous. Like, they can't update their selfie. Like, they made minimum updates to the camera. They made the bare minimum that you could probably make without actually saying you changed the display on your display. And we're still running out there as consumers to buy these products. And by the way, out of every phone manufacturer out there in the world, do you know the one phone manufacturer that never hardly gives you a discount ever? Apple. Every other phone manufacturer, whether it's Samsung, whether it's Google, whether it's OnePlus, Motorola, gives you discounts on phones throughout the journey. If you're lucky on Apple, when they do their Christmas or college, you might get a $50 gift card that you have to spend at Apple to do that. Not money off to go back in your bank account. And let's be honest, today the economy is tight. People are not making the money they used to. People are getting laid off and costs are going up. With all that said, they can't give you a discount on their phone. Why? Because Apple users are kind of like, and I apologize, are like sheep. Apple is herding you to what they want you to have, and you just buy it because they have a great ecosystem. And that's ridiculous. Like, you want Apple to change, you have to force them to change. And they have over 60% of the market today in the US on phones. They don't have to change. Android user, I get it. You're like, oh, Apple should do this. No, they shouldn't. When you have 60% of the market, you don't have to do nothing because you're making people right. But people, You got to demand more from Apple. And these are minimum upgrades for you to go spend hundreds of dollars more for what? And, great, they have messages via satellite. Guess what? They had that on the 15 Pro Max. Guess what? They had that on the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Not a big change there either. Crash detection. And wait, what do we have in cellular? What was a big upgrade in cellular? Oh, here we are. Wi-Fi 7. Boom. Not many people are ever going to have Wi-Fi 7 for another couple of years. It's expensive. It's a router's like, for a decent one, you're spending $700-800 for it. If you do a mesh, you're looking at $2,000. People aren't spending $2,000 for Wi-Fi 7. So this is going to be the smallest amount of users out there have Wi-Fi 7. Heck, I'm in technology. I live and breathe technology, and heck, I'm still using Wi-Fi 6. Why? Because the cost of Wi-Fi 7 is so minimum, and most systems out there don't even support it. So why do it? And Wi-Fi 6, I get 900 megabits of data transfer through my Wi-Fi at my house. I'm good. Like that, I can run movies, I can stream audio, I can do a lot of things and not have any kind of glitch in my Wi-Fi. So, secure Face ID. Some people want to bring back fingerprints, some don't. Apple, all this is all identically the same. Video calling, all that. I will say Apple does a great job in a lot of things. They force their app users or their app companies that are publishing apps on there to conform to a certain standard, and usually your apps are better on Apple. There are great things about the iPhone. I'm not going to sit here and say it's not. I am not an Android boy that hates Apple. I like both technologies. Heck, if I could take both technologies and mesh them into one, I'd have the perfect phone. I really would. So if you think that I'm just out here bashing them, I'm not. What I'm doing is wake up people. Girls, guys, ladies, men, our young, intelligent, smart youth that is growing up. If you want somebody to change, you have to force change. You have to demand it. And they don't have enough, I think, in my opinion, enough upgrades for anybody that has an iPhone 15 Pro Max to go to iPhone 16 Pro Max. And let's be honest, if you had the 14 Pro Max and the 15 Pro Max, a lot of people did not upgrade because there's not enough difference to do it. They're not like a bunch of the Android makers. They don't have to make change. They are not innovating. They are what the Android people like. Oh, we did that. Now, don't get me wrong. They came out with the great things like the iPad Pro. Great. Android or Pixel or Google, however you want to say it, still lacking the ball. They wonder why they wonder why they have a single-digit market of the share. Hey, Google, wake up. Do cool things. They have great accessories for the iPhone. Heck, they're struggling. There's not. In fact, some of the Android, now it's the cases have MagSafe cases so you can use some Apple accessories on it because it's cooler and nicer and it makes your life more convenient. So if Android wants to more market and they want to start taking it, they got to start doing things. And let's go down to here. Here we go. Power and battery. 33 hours of video playback. Audio playback, 105.95. If you really look at these, it's really not going to be. And like I said, I would bet money on it that you're not going to get 10 more hours on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. And how do I do this? I'm a heavy user. I have never moved from the 13 to 14 to 15 and never saw a true increase on phone. My phone will die every day between 4 and 5. And what dictates that is how much I'm using it that day, not because I have the latest phone. So maybe you'll see it depending on your use. Maybe you squeeze just a little bit more in, but majority of any heavy user is not going to see anything. You're going to say, oh, well, the way you use it has changed daily. That's why. No, it's not. Because when I'm heavy on that phone. I've been heavy on the other generations. But yeah, and they got cool colors. Like, hey, let's just go back up here one last time and look, the color is kind of cool. You got the desert titanium. Oh, you had natural titanium before, and then we have we used to have natural titanium before. I messed that one up. Oh, because it was the blue one. They had blue that was replaced with desert titanium. White is always white, which Same thing right there. And then you got your black titanium. So even your colors didn't change. So you had purple changed to blue. Now blue has changed to desert. So here's all I'm saying, and this is where I will leave you in this review, is should you upgrade? You should not upgrade. Apple makes 30% margin. Go look at their stock earnings. They are killing it. There are 15 states right now suing them for monopoly. I'm actually thrilled about that because I want change. I want Apple to be a better company. And being a better company means you have to start innovating. You have to start leading out there, and you have to start doing things differently. You don't sit there in the market and wait and do that. When they created the iPhone, it changed the market. It did. Back then, BlackBerry was dominating. iPhone comes out, boom, takes it all over. And then for the next couple of years, they were just crushing it. And then Android's trying to catch up. Now Android's doing all the innovation and creation of new technology, and iPhone's kind of like puttering around. And all they do come out there and say is, hey, we're changing the world. We have the best this, we have the best that. Guess what? Everybody that has their announcement says the same thing. You know, go watch those Made by Google, Pixel, and iPhone best friends. I crack up because they're so true to a lot of those things. So anyways, I know we're at like 21 minutes. People talk about long videos, so I'm gonna leave you with this. Think about it, what's important. I always tell people, get your top 3 things what you want out of a phone. Out of your top 3 things, go look at the specs of the new phone. If it doesn't meet all 3, ask yourself, why are you buying the new phone? Why are you wasting money in a world where everything is just raising? And we got rising prices on everything. Consumer products, house products, wages aren't going up like everything else going up. So should you invest in a new phone? Well, I think everybody knows my opinion on that. And if you do invest, hey, go look at the Pixel 9 Pro XL. And I did not make that plug because I'm on Android. It's just facts. I'm highly considering myself, which has been a heavy iPhone user for years. And I use both technologies and get familiar with it. But I'm going back to Pixel, and I'm going to carry Pixels probably my whole time because of that. So yeah, hey, I'll ask you this one. I'll leave you on this thought. Click subscribe to my channel. Help me out. Get the word out. Again, my videos are real. They're raw. I will not go back and re-edit them. They're unpolished for a reason. And if you don't like anything I said, hey, put the comments down below. I love y'all. And, you know, I had somebody the other day post something, you know what? There's no hate. I will never say X, Y, or Z. I will never defend my stance. I will say, hey, you got a great point. And if somebody wants to pop out here and say, oh, you just love Android, this and that, hey, believe what you want. Clearly you haven't watched all my videos. But if you subscribe, then you can. And then we can be more equal. Anyways, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Thanks.